The Conjuring, which I think I've seen that one. That's the one with the clap clap game, right? Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like hide and seek, but you clap.
Uh, I don't think I saw that one. I saw Annabelle and Amityville Horror. I don't think I've seen the other ones.
Oh, I think I liked The Conjuring. Even though I don't like scary, like I really don't like scary movies, but sometimes the
Yeah,
storyline is good.
right. I like more psychological
Yeah, me
ones, I
too.
guess. Yeah.
Um, so this one took place in 1971 when the Perron family moved into a 14-bedroom house in Harrisville, Rhode Island. The family's five daughters immediately noticed strange occurrences in the home, like items going missing and moving on their own. And, like, one example is, like, the broom would be moved around all the time. And sometimes they would, like, come home to, like, a dirt pile, like someone had swept all the dirt
Oh, that's
into a
interesting.
pile. Yeah,
It's helping then.
kind of.
Cleaning.
Yeah, still scary.
Yeah.
And Carolyn, the matriarch of the family, researched the history of the home and discovered that, like, many of the members of the previous owners' families who had inhabited the home for 8 generations had died under mysterious or suspicious circumstances. And one of the spirits that they thought like lived in the house was Bathsheba, who lived there in the mid 1800s and like felt like she was like the mistress of the house, and would
Oh.
like whoever the actual live mistress of the house was, she would like compete with them and like attack the mothers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Um but Bathsheba was rumored to have been a Satanist and involved in the death of a neighbor's trial or a neighbor's child, though no trial ever took place.
Mm, sad.
Yeah. And the family also experienced other spirits that smelled like rotting flesh and would feel like a sinking feeling when they entered the basement. So
Mhm.
they avoided the basement, but like the furnace was down there and it would go out all the time for no reason. And Roger, the dad, would have to go down there and like check on it, like
Right.
fix it or whatever. I mean,
Oh.
maybe, but like everyone would be scared to go down
Right.
there. Um,
Ugh.
so Ed and Lorraine were called to the house multiple times to investigate, and like in one instance, a séance was conducted where Lorraine attempted to contact the spirits in the home, and during the séance, Carolyn was possessed by one of the spirits and began speaking in tongues and levitating in her chair.
Wow.
And one of the daughters of the family, Andrea, which I think was the oldest daughter, like watched, like she wasn't supposed to be there but she was secretly watching, and she
Oh,
said that like her mom was like thrown across the room in her chair.
wow. That's so scary.
Yes. Yeah. And Roger kicked the Warrens out of his house fearing for his wife's mental stability, and they
Mm.
stayed in the house for 10 years because they couldn't afford to leave.
Wow.
And they were
10
able,
years.
yeah, I know, can you imagine? I cannot
No.
imagine, like I
Yeah, I
could not
can't.
stay there. But they were able to move in 1980, and the new owners have not reported any hauntings, and the spirits are believed to have been silenced.
Oh, okay.
My
Maybe they're
worst nightmare.
dampeners.
My worst nightmare is living in a haunted house.
Well, I feel like there's certain people that attract it and certain people like repel it.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
just repel it, I guess. I don't know. What are you? Maybe you're an attractor though. Or new. I feel like neutral too. There could be neutral.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with that, so I hope I'm a repeller.
Well, I feel like I'm a repeller since I only have one story.
Right.
And everyone else has like 10 or more stories in my family.
I don't want that.
Yeah. Now that I live alone, I don't really want it.
Right. That'd be so scary.
Yeah.
The next one is Amityville Horror. In 1974, in Amityville, New York, Ronald DeFeo Jr. entered a bar and claimed that his entire family had been killed. The police found the 6 family members' bodies shot dead. Ronald claimed to not have been home during the murders, but was found guilty in his trial after confessing that he had done it. But none of that ever explained how one person could have killed 6 people in the dead of night without, like, any visible struggle.
Yeah.
And, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's really sad though, but
I
I mean,
know.
it's the dad, right?
No, it was the oldest brother, I think. One of the
Oh, the
brothers.
oldest brother. Okay.
Yeah. Both of the parents were killed. And I've
Yeah.
heard that there was, like, more to this story and that he was, like, involved with some kind of crimes, like
Oh.
organized crime and something. I don't know. I didn't look too much into it because that, like, this literally could have been its own episode. I mean, all of these could probably be their own episode, but I didn't want to
Yeah.
get too deep into the conspiracy of it. But I have heard that there's, like, you know, something about this was a little fishy.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a little weird.
Yeah. But a year later, the Lutz family moved into the house,
Hmm.
which I could not do.
No. I mean, they knew about it, right? You have to disclose
Yeah.
that, right? Or
Yeah.
I
And they
don't.
got a great deal.
So they were happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, but when they were moving in, a Catholic priest came to bless the house, and when he was blessing one of the upstairs bedrooms with holy water, a disembodied voice told the priest to get out.
Oh my God.
The priest didn't tell the family about this, but he told them not to use that bedroom and don't let anyone sleep in there. So they turned it into a sewing room.
Oh, okay. What the? Why didn't he tell them?
I know. And then within one day of moving into the house, the whole family's, like, personalities changed and they started arguing, like, in ways that they hadn't before.
Oh.
Yeah. Which maybe you could chalk that up to stress of a new environment or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know.
I mean, maybe the kids didn't want to move or so, or who knows?
Right. But George, the father, was, like, constantly cold. And he started, like, obsessively tending the fire in the fireplace,
Mm. Because
like,
he's
keeping
so
it.
cold. Oh my God.
Yeah. And his grooming habits also seemed to change, like he was, like, not taking care of himself.
Yeah.
And Kathy, the mother's health began to decline rapidly,
Mhm.
and their daughter started to spend a lot of time alone in her room playing with an imaginary friend who was a red-eyed pig named Jody who could shapeshift into
Okay.
any size or shape. And
Okay.
Jody told the little girl that only, like, people could only see her if she wanted them to.
Oh.
I don't know why she was a pig.
Right.
Also, Jody is a funny name for a pig.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I guess that's a common name, right, in the 70s?
Jody, yeah. It's with an IE, to be specific.
Mhm.
Um, but the whole family began to experience foul odors and black stains on the toilets and light fixtures, which, why do I feel like that's mold?
No. Yeah, it's just black mold.
The whole house is filled with black mold.
Could be.
But flies infested one of the upstairs bedroom, the upstairs bedroom that they had been warned about. And George started to wake up at 3:15 a.m. every morning, which was when they thought that the DeFeo family had been murdered. But also, if you have poor blood sugar control, that's a really common time to wake up because your insulin,
Yeah.
like, your blood sugar drops and it wakes you up because your body thinks that it's dying, and that spikes your insulin. Anyway, debunked that one.
Yeah.
Um, George claims that one night while he was like in the middle of the night, his wife transformed into a 90-year-old woman before his eyes. I know.
What?
I know.
How does that happen?
I
I
don't
mean,
know. Like visually, like he
right.
saw her become a 90-year-old woman.
But he could be, like, in the middle of the night, he could be
Hallucinating?
hallucinating, right?
Right, like half dreaming. That's what I
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah.
And then the next night, she levitated in her bed.
Oh. Hmm.
Um, and the family tried to contact the priest who originally blessed the house to have him come back, like multiple times, but every time they would find that their phone cord had been cut.
What?
I know.
By who?
I know.
Oh no.
So, which, first of all, here, I don't understand why they wouldn't just drive to the church, but whatever.
Right, yeah.
Um, the family took matters into their own hands and they were walking around the house with a cross, reciting the Lord's
Oh
Prayer.
no.
And they say that, like, a chorus of voices asked them to stop.
Oh my God. But once you start, you can't stop.
I know. Please, why am I so scared right
Yeah,
now?
I am too. I keep looking behind me,
I
like where the
hate
stairs
this.
are.
I
I'm like, oh
know, no,
no.
I really don't like this.
Yeah, why did we do this?
I freaked myself out.
Yeah, just wait till March.
I know. Um, and then the final night, the family claimed, like the final night that they spent in the house, they heard like banging and rapping as loud as a marching band coming from like all different places around the house, and the furniture seemed to move on its
Oh
own.
my God.
And they had only spent 28 days in the house. Like all of this happened within a month.
That's crazy. I didn't know it was that fast.
I didn't either.
Wow.
And they went to, I think, Kathy's mom's house after this
Oh,
because they're
okay.
like, no
Well, I'm
fucking
glad
way.
they left.
I know. I know. And 20 days after they left their home, Ed and Lorraine were contacted to investigate, and the Lutz family refused to re enter the house. But Ed claims that when he was in the basement reciting religious provocations, he was pushed.
Mm.
And Lorraine claims to have been overwhelmed by demonic forces and a psychic impression of the DeFeo family's murders.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah. And the researchers claim to have captured a picture of a little boy in one of the upstairs windows.
Was there a little boy that was murdered?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There were like 5 boys. I think it was
Oh,
all sons.
that's great. That's a lot.
Yeah. And like although obviously the DeFeo family was murdered there, but they also discovered that the home sat on land that was used by John Ketchum, who was a practicing black magician in the early 20s.
That's not good.
And no. And the Shinnecock Native American tribe in that area had used the land as like they had like an enclosure for their sick and mentally ill where they would put them in there and let them die.
Oh my God.
I know, and it was on their land.
Oh my God.
I know.
Wow.
So they think that the dark history of the land contributed to what they experienced, but the Lutzes refused to go back in, so Ed and Lorraine got like their possessions out of the house, like whatever they wanted to take with them, and they moved to California.
Oh my God. The like farthest away.
Yeah, the deed for the house, they grabbed the deed and their personal items and said, we're getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Well, it's good they could.
Yeah. And they purchased the house for $80,000 in 1975, which feels like a lot of money for a house in 1975.
Yeah. That was a
But
deal.
I guess the house sold for 950,000 in 2010, and I think it was like recently